back to a brand new episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I chat with small business owners where we discuss their journeys, their perspectives, their pieces of advice, and sometimes I do solo episodes. Now, with me today is Raoul, the founder and owner of Heart Soul Heat. Raoul is an entrepreneur who has had many businesses, but is now focused on selling his homemade ghost honey. In this episode, Raoul shares a ton of advice based on lessons he's learned throughout his business journey, and he really helped shift my mindset through our conversation. You can find his ghost honey on Amazon and on his website, and he has graciously given our listeners 25% off his website when you use the code COFFEE. That's COFFEE. So use the code COFFEE to get 25% off Raoul's ghost honey. And his website is heartsoulheat.com. I'll leave it in the description. Now, before we dive into our conversation, of course, I'd love if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcast app and on Spotify. Really helps others discover us and helps further promote the small businesses that we have on the show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I know you'll enjoy and learn something. And don't forget to go to heartsoulheat.com for 25% off with the code COFFEE, COFFEE. Now let's hear from Raoul. Welcome, Raoul. Thank you so much for being on Virtual Coffee.
Oh, what a pleasure to be here. Good morning.
Good morning. Looking forward to our conversation. So kick us off, introduce us to yourself, to your company, Heart Soul Heat. Just give us a glimpse into who you are and what your business is.
My name is Raoul Benavides. I grew up in Chicago and I live in Minneapolis. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs and creatives. I went to art school for photography, and I spent 25 years as a kind of editorial portrait photographer. I used to work for magazines.
Oh, wow.
And I used to shoot film. It was such a beautiful thing. I had a dream when I was 4 of being a photographer, and I did my first internship when I was 16, and I lived my dream. It was wonderful. That whole world changed with digital, as all worlds change, and the magazine world just basically got destroyed and became something else. Mm-hmm. And it left me with new opportunities. I love sometimes when doors close, especially when they close on you. It forces you to be a different person or to have a different dream. And I'm one of those people who my ego never got caught up in a description, like that I was a photographer or that I was something. I've always considered myself a creative, and I'm interested in making things that weren't there yesterday. That's kind of, in a certain way, the roots of my entrepreneurial spirit. Of course, my family is very entrepreneurial. But after the world kind of changed in photography, I started a rental company called Flashlight, and I ran it for 10 years. I used to rent lighting equipment for photographers because I knew that world very well. And everyone was traveling, but they weren't traveling with equipment because the budgets got cut for all the lighting. We used to travel. I traveled the world carrying around heavy Pelican cases, and that world had changed. Yeah. So I ran that for 10 years, and it was wonderful, super successful. And then I opened up a record store across the street from my rental house, and that was fun. I've never really worked in a building before because I used to travel so much, and I kind of got burnt out from the 4 walls. Mm-hmm. And I went from that to wanting to do something super tactile, and I started a bug farm. So I started a bug farm, and these bugs were these bugs are these very special bugs. They have a lot of protein, and I would basically oven dry these bugs and sell them to backyard chicken people. It was it was one of those things that it wasn't what I needed, but it was the step that I needed to get me out of where I was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it failed. I've had a lot of beautiful failures, and they led me to something else that I couldn't have got there by myself. And the pandemic happened, and I was doing a lot of cooking, and I keep in the projects that I've been doing. I keep looking to find a way to get more reach, because the photography thing was very specialized, and it wasn't. The photography world that I was in was commercial photography that was for magazines, which is very different than portraits of people for personal use.
Yeah.
And I've been my journey is always trying to find more reach and trying to find a way to connect kind of with everyone. So I had a dream about Heart Soul Heat. The name came into focus, and sort of visions of my grandfather. Yeah, I started kind of messing around in the kitchen, and I came up with this my first product, which is called Ghost Honey, which is a ghost pepper infused raw honey. And I launched that 2 years ago, and it's been going well. I'm about to launch my second product, which
Yay.
is a vegan
Nice.
hot honey. Instead of honey, it uses dates.
Wow.
So dates and ghost peppers and a little bit of vinegar. This project is incredibly humbling because it's so broad, and it's so vulnerable. The people's palates are all different, and you can explain it as much as you want, and if they don't like it, they will let you know. And the world. Yes. So
I'm sure.
It's humbling, but it's I've gotten a lot of love, a lot of people that love my product, and a lot of support in ways that are very different than the support that I was used to. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for walking us through your journey. I love your ability to just pivot and learn a new skill set, dive into a new world. And we often talk about on this podcast, really understanding your why and what drives you. And if you stick to that, no matter what you're doing, you should be successful, right? Because success, according to each person, should be fulfilling their why. So it sounds like to you, your why is being able to be creative, entrepreneurial, connecting with others, providing value to others. And you can see that through each of your businesses, right? Although they were very different, your why stayed the same, that you kept coming back to that creativity, that connecting with others. And I love that. I think that's beautiful. I love that single thread throughout your journey.
And it's also too that these businesses are also tools of connection. They are what they are, and they do what they do. But at the end of the day, it's about me learning and sharing my project with other people. That's what it's about. That's what I love. I loved photography so much because I got to create these very intimate bonds with people that I normally wouldn't have. The camera was the excuse for us to get together. And I kind of think that way about Heart, Soul, Heat. It's amazing what happens when you make yourself vulnerable. I think that when you come from a place of authenticity, or in a certain way, this project makes me so happy that people can feel that happiness and that joy, and it gives them joy. It's kind of like a transferred energy of sorts.
Yeah, I'm sure people can sense the authenticity that you're giving off, right? Because to your point, you love what you're doing, and you love connecting, and you love providing this awesome product to people and just creating a community. And I'm sure folks can feel that and understand that and want to be a part of that community. That's wonderful. Are you, throughout all your adventures, are you a type of person who's just constantly learning, wanting to discover something new, learn a new skill set? Or do you rather maybe get the idea for the business and then dive into that topic and just learn as you go? Like, what's your kind of approach to launching these different businesses and following your heart and brain and where your perhaps soul is telling you where to go?
Yeah, I mean, I have I have kind of a weird gift that I do. I function very well in the vulnerability. Not knowing is the actual romance for me. I think about the Zen mind, beginner's mind. That the beginner has all the options, and the master has very few.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is I just want to be a beginner again and again and again, and also too that I'm super comfortable with failure. I'm not trying to be too comfortable that I bring it to me. That I attract it, but I know that it's part of the process, and I know that whatever product or project that I'm working on is just a step to the next project. I kind of think of it like a love journey.
Yeah.
The what you thought love was when you were 20 is very different than what love is when you're 50. Every day you're picking up this emotional intelligence. And if you're listening, if that's what's so fun about having a project that I'm so in love with, is that all of my feelers are going on. I'm not a person that really functions on I don't care or I want to make some money. That doesn't attract the beauty and spirit that I'm looking for. Of course you need success. Of course all those things have to play into it. But if you're not in love with what you're doing, do something else. Life is so short,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I really love and appreciate that mindset. Often I think my brain goes towards when I'm talking to business owners such as yourself, my brain thinks, oh, how scary that must have been when you first started launching or going down the path of building this business. But you flipped that and said how beautiful that is, how beautiful it is to not know and to have to learn and grow and be in that unknown. So I really like that flip of that mindset.
It's not that different from your relationship with your partner or your relationship with love. How scary it is, the butterflies or the basically it's also to the fear of rejection. I mean, we start these things and we know at any point that the universe could reject us. The Amazon people can rip us apart and whatever. It is the world is kind of wide open now, and I think that there's so many people who don't connect love and that energy to entrepreneurship because they're trying to protect themselves. And I get it. And I understand it. Believe me, last thing I want to do is fail in front of my mom and my wife and, my kids, whatever. It's no one wants that. But it's the dance that makes the win so beautiful.
It's the journey, the effort, that fear of failure, the excitement of growing. It all adds up into those beautiful moments along the way. Yeah, I love how you describe that. I think that's also just great advice for anyone listening who is starting their business, is in the middle of running their business, just to almost pause and enjoy the ride, right? Don't just be so focused on the end.
But it's also too that fear is the moat. How the people talk about the moat, like what is the thing that protects you from competition or that protects you from other people doing what you want to do the same thing, is that they're scared. Doers do. Shooters shoot. That's it. And we're all scared, but we have to find a way to dance with that vulnerability. That's what makes us do it.
Yeah, it's recognized. Yeah, to your point, I think it's okay to have the fear. It's recognizing it and embracing it, like working with the fear rather than letting that fear hold you back.
Yeah, but it's also that part that, they say that pressure builds diamonds.
Sure.
Pressure makes diamonds. It isn't, if it's too easy, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's also too that this entrepreneurial journey is different for everyone. And I think, I think about entrepreneurship through creativity. I'm interested in making something that wasn't there yesterday. Some people use the same word for being business owners, and people could do whatever you want. If you're selling someone else's widget, do it. That's not, I'm not here to judge whoever. Everyone does everything differently. But I think about my journey in what I call the beautiful struggle of entrepreneurship is about creating something that wasn't there yesterday. About finding a way to use your platform to connect with other people.
I love that. I'm feeling a book forming, Raoul. I think you need to hard pass on.
No. It's all a possibility.
Awesome. I feel it. I love that because it is interesting how there really is no set like entrepreneurial guidebook, and it makes sense because to your point, it is different for everyone and everyone's journey is different. So it's just interesting.
There's no guidebook on how to make art or how to make love.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to be a part of it, that's the beauty right there.
Yeah, exactly. Beautifully stated. Excellent. Well, diving back into Heart, Soul, Heat, tell us more about that honey that you sell. If, just anyone listening who
has no idea what that ghost honey is, just help us taste it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, ghost honey. I mean, the way I think about it too is ghost honey is so wonderful because it is a way of transforming kind of dull foods into something very special. I love sweet heat combinations, and this ghost honey, this hot honey, is so wonderful on pizza and fried chicken. Anything that has, I think of it kind of like this texture. And especially, I always say I have so many fans that are like, oh my God, you make our cheap pizza, cheap, like cheese pizza into something really beautiful. I'm like, yeah, that's what it's about,
Yeah.
I love the idea of like, democratizing flavor, that making it accessible to people. So it is I mean, people love it on ice cream. Every day I get photos or different people use it on so many different things. Yeah, I mean, I think it's that things that it really jazzes up the dough, and it can be used in so many different ways. I have a client who uses the hot honey instead of sugar when he makes pizza dough.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so it can be used as a sugar replacement. Yeah, there's just so many different things that you can do with it. I mean, fried foods, of course, people use it people use it instead of ketchup for a dipping sauce.
Yep.
People use it on ice cream, fried chicken, fried anything. People use it as a binder for ribs. So they'll put the hot honey on, and then they'll use the like rib rub on top, so it'll stick.
Yeah.
And that's delicious.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's one of those things that can kind of, you can use it as a sugar replacement, but it's kind of also a tool for creativity,
I love that. I love I would never have thought to use it as that sugar replacement, like you're saying in the pizza dough. That sounds really good. Yeah, it all sounds absolutely delicious. I love honey. I love that kick. And to your point, that combination of kind of sweet and spicy. Do you harvest your own honey? What's that process like?
I did at the beginning, but now I've scaled so much that I have a broker that buys my honey. But I basically we buy it from it's upper Midwest, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So what it was and what it is very different. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. And again, that's something that's always fascinating to me is when folks create, their own products and sell them. And once you do scale, just learning that whole world of, to your point, like buying honey, like that, I'm sure that was brand new to you. How did you navigate learning that, even being able to ship the honey, right? I know that's a huge thing with shipping food. Any advice there, or just how you navigated learning that along the way? And I know it's step by step, right? It's kind of taking it day by day, but any advice there for folks who are, running their own business, looking at scaling?
Yeah, I think some of it is just because you're not at that place doesn't mean that you can't think about it. Not overthink, but some of it is like, what would it look like if what happens if the Today Show gets a hold of your honey and talks about it? And now you all of a sudden you go from 5 sales a week to 5,500 sales in an afternoon.
Wow. Yeah.
Like in a certain way, I think it's also too like you have to have the ability to punch up and to dream up, because we could all be like, oh, this is where we are. I think sometimes if you think about this is where we are, that's where you'll stay. Yeah, I mean, some of it is like, what does success look like, and how can I prepare for that?
Yes.
Because thinking about it and being philosophical about success is different than operations. Yeah, the operations part is it's tricky, but it's also too that if you don't have a grasp on it, it'll eat you up. Yeah, I mean, success is also it's double-sided. Of course it's wonderful, but you still have to execute.
Yep.
And I think the execution is its own dance, and something that you learn from doing, but it's also too that you can learn by paying attention and by trying to get things in place, even if you don't have the money or the business.
Yeah, I like that advice there of preparing for the success, because to your point, you can't just get too stuck in the moment, because you need to have those goals or dreams right into the future. And you can't get too focused on the future either. You need to also still focus on the now. So kind of balancing that of being that realistic dreamer, preparing yourself for that success. And even if that success ends up looking different, those preparations likely will still be valuable for your business and whatever path you're going down. Yeah, I like that advice.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of this is such an amazing time to have a CPG brand, a consumer package brand or consumer package good. Shopify, Shopify, the website company. I mean, it makes things so easy. Not that it's easy to get sales, but it's easy to get set up. It's easy to get started, and it's easy to start paying attention. There's lots of amazing brand accelerator programs that are free. It's just some of it is it's easy when you start to be over focused on what you're doing and not being able to see ahead. There's a lot of partners in companies that are there to help you if you have a clear vision of who you are and where you want to go. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of marketplaces too. We're about to launch on this cool curated marketplace called The Fascination.
Ooh.
And we just launched on a little Minnesota brand called Food and Beverly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so some of it is just trying to find like-minded partners,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finding that community and to your those new marketplaces. I never even heard of those. That's awesome that those are out there, and just finding your people, to your point, those like-minded folks.
Yeah. But I think some of it is that you got to find your people. You have to kind of get yourself out of the dirt and kind of point toward the clouds a little bit. And they're there. There's so many. This is such a wonderful time to have a small business. Yeah. It is. It's just inspiring. For me, it's just I love hearing about people's successes. That's why I love business podcasts in general, because I'm so inspired by what people are doing.
I know, and everyone has truly a different story. Even every business owner I talk to on this podcast, even though we kind of have the same set of questions, it always goes a different way because everyone has their own story, their own perspectives, their own advice to share. It is quite fascinating. Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it's all about it's the recipe for my happiness. It is, I really only have one gear, and that's freedom and creativity. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it takes people a long time, but when you get it, when you line up and you figure out what your purpose is and what makes you happy, that's it. It's kind of all done for you. Yeah. And then the rest of it is just live and fail, and succeed and love and fail and succeed. It's all the same thing, Yeah. Kind of find a team of people who support what you're doing and support the vision.
Yeah, I love that. It just sounds like you're just consistently fueling your happiness, and it's just such a great way to think about it. I really like your perspective. I actually think it's kind of a unique one, which is interesting because I don't think it should be unique. I think everyone should want to be doing what they love and finding happiness in what they love. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things that's taken a lifetime. It didn't just show up, And I'm it's the biggest thing too is that I'm so loved. I'm in such a wonderful relationship. It's all connected. It's I didn't know that when I was younger. It's such a gift, and I feel so humbled to get to this point in my life that it's all clicking in.
It's lovely. Just kind of going back to a logistical question. So for those listening, where are you able to ship your honey? I know I saw you were on Amazon, which is awesome. Congratulations on that. Or is it international shipping? Just the United States?
No, just in the U.S. Yeah.
Okay.
Just in the U.S. Yeah. My website's called heartsoulheat.com. And we ship direct there. We're on Amazon. Yeah. Those are kind of our main two distribution points. Yeah.
Excellent.
We're in a handful of boutique stores across the country.
No, that's awesome. And it is, I think you mentioned it is just you, right? As
it's me. Yeah. Yeah. So, what I in my businesses, I've had so many employees and vehicles and all these things. And I'm like, oh, you know what? My dream is to do this very differently. So all of my people who help me on whatever part. They're all freelancers, or they're all performance people. So that's the part that I love, because it gives me back my freedom. And we can have 3 weeks of production and 2 weeks of marketing. For me, it's just about being pliable and also about setting boundaries. Like I don't want to be the person I was when I was younger, where I would work 12 and 14 hours all the time. And I'm so excited to come home. I'm so loved that I'm just so giddy to come home. And to kind of create that space for me, I had to create these boundaries. I'm doing this is this week. I can take calls on Mondays. These things are available. And it's just that structure helps me be mentally loose. So I'm not running and chasing after every email and phone call and meeting I didn't take, or feel guilty or bad about anything.
What is your, it sounds like your day-to-day changes, right? It's not necessarily consistent, but it also sounds like you work with potentially freelancers. But what's your day-to-day like? Like, are you bottling the honey? Are you actually in the kitchen? Like, what's the behind the scenes?
Yeah, at this point, it's all a co-packer.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's the co-packer, and then there's all of the pallets of product. My day-to-day is kind of like a little bit different. I try to, like I said, I try to structure like a week of marketing. So I'm in the zone of talking to people. And right now I'm looking for a social media manager.
Okay.
So I'm just sort of like having efforts toward marketing, whether it's meetings. And then on Mondays, usually I try to take open to calls or meetings with other people, collaborators, and then I'll kind of go in this cycle, deal with the product, deal with it, make sure it gets into the right spot, deal with vendors on certain days, deal with marketing, and then kind of just keep it all going and try to, have some space for grace and connection. The thing that really excites me now is that I'm interested in using Heart Soul Heat as a platform for philanthropy. I'm not interested in getting into the hot sauces that it's very flooded, how many hot sauce companies there are. But I am interested in finding creatives or chefs or musicians to create a hot sauce-like product and have a limited run and have like every dollar go to like No Kid Hungry.
Yeah.
I'm interested in inner city arts programs, so I'm just trying to find a way, and it's not always easy, but I'm trying to find a couple of chefs or creatives to do a sauce so that we can give it away and, to connect the public good into something that I really love.
I really like your definition of success and scaling, because just reflecting on what you've been speaking about, like, it is still just you in Heart Soul Heat, and it doesn't sound like your dream is to have 50 employees, with Heart Soul Heat. If that's the way it goes, then I don't think you'd be opposed to that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just sounds like success to you is being able to give back, building that community, and it's less on the numbers. I do find some folks are just so focused on that, right? Like, we want to expand to 100 employees and yada, 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 these XYZ success metrics. But you are just coming back to, like, now I want to give back. I want to use this brand to contribute back to the community. It's just a very different perspective, honestly. And I really appreciate it. It's very authentic.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people talk about the numbers and stuff because they don't have anything else to talk about. What I learned and what I know is that the smaller my company is, the more nimble we are. Yeah. And the faster that we can innovate and make cool shit. I mean, I want to do cool shit with cool people. All that makes, there's this thing about, do you know Yogananda?
No, I don't.
It's a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi.
Okay.
In this quote, that God is imagination itself. All I care about is finding more space in the pocket to be creative and to connect with people.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of it. And then how it happens in real life is something a little bit different. Of course, we're using this vehicle of right now it's spicy honey, but it could kind of be anything. I mean, I always think like literally heart, soul, heat is the thing. I am the heart, the soul, and the heat. Like that is it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason why we couldn't do a heart, soul, heat music festival.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or anything else. Is the more nimble we are, and the more success that heart, soul, heat gains, the more we'll be able to make change, and also to make fun. You know, to bring the fun back and connect with interesting people.
It's very inspiring. Even just through this conversation, it's helping me, even with virtual coffee, like get out of my mindset of the numbers, the followers, the listens, the views, and just go back to why I started it and the heart of it and my personal why. It's just very inspiring hearing
Yeah,
hearing
thank
you
you.
be so passionate
Well,
about
it's also
that. Yeah.
it's about the joy.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's about the joy,
Yeah.
the joy. You know, that's what kind of makes you wake up, and that's what makes you want to
Mm-hmm.
connect with people. And it
Yeah.
is at the end of the day, if you're making a food product, especially, it's about giving. Of course, you put something that you made in somebody else's mouth. It is crazy vulnerable. That's what makes it good.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun. And everyone eats, and there's so many chances to connect. And I'm really interested in connecting with other brands. You know, I would love to do a collab with like Nugs. I mean, I think it's just about, it's about being nimble and also, you know, being humble.
I love where you're hoping to take the business and where you are taking the business, and love that vegan honey that sounds like it's launching soon. What a cool solution. Are there many? I feel like there aren't even that many vegan honeys out there. Is that true? Or
No, well, there is. I don't think I haven't seen any vegan hot honeys.
Yeah.
But I think what I love about the vegan hot honey, which is dates, ghost peppers, and vinegar, is that it is a vegan hot honey, but the flavor is so different that I think that people who love our ghost honey will love our vegan honey.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it is still sweet heat, but it adds this depth that if you don't have a good relationship with dates, it'll open up your flavor channels.
Was that just a kitchen? Again, I don't want you to give away your recipe or anything, but was that a kitchen experiment that you were just working on, playing with on your own?
Yeah,
Nice.
Basically, yeah. I mean, it all is. It all is playing with something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always think sometimes like a good idea is two half ideas that aren't that good by themselves, and you hit them together, and they make a good idea.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I've just never really heard of a vegan honey before, and I love that you solved for that. That's awesome. Very innovative. Yeah, and you mentioned, with running your business and how you've kind of learned to set those boundaries because you do want to enjoy going home at the end of the day, right? You don't want to be doing late nights, early mornings. Any advice from all your businesses that you've run of how to balance that? Balance is such the wrong word. I don't like using that word in this context, but just how to set those boundaries, rather. Any like pieces of advice that come to mind for those who might be struggling with that and just can't put the work down?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we go through different cycles in our life, and also maybe don't put the work down. I mean, sometimes stuff needs to get done, and if it doesn't overlap and hurt your personal life, if you're 20-ish and you don't have a lot of domestic responsibilities, to a partner or a dog or something, do it. Just do it. It's all, if you feel inspired to do the work, do it. If you're lucky enough to have a partner who is that you can communicate with and who supports you, do it. Do it. There's whatever. I mean, my biggest fear is not doing it. Work-life balance, of course. Of course, we need to go to the gym. We need to get into the sauna. We need to drink and eat good things to just keep all of this machine called humanity going. But if you have the chance and the runway to go for it, hit the gas. I mean, if you are in a you have a couple kids and it's not, you don't have all the support in the world, then maybe you need to find a different balance. Sure. But if you're lucky enough to have that support, just
Wow. Thank you for expanding my mindset, Raul. You're helping me not think so in extremes of like either you have a work-life balance or you don't, or you have to or you shouldn't. Like, just thank you for expanding my mindset here. This was a very eye-opening conversation, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with our audience here.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're all different, and we all get to roll our own. We are in charge of us, and if we're lucky enough to have the space and support, what a blessing.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, my last question for you is, and I end this every episode with this, is what is your proudest accomplishment so far? And it can just be kind of that first thing that comes to mind. Doesn't have to be related to anything business-wise, just proudest accomplishment so far. What's kind of that first thing that comes to mind?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah, what it is? My proudest accomplishment is, kind of my current accomplishment, and that being that getting the chance for another at bat. My proudest accomplishment is getting beat and losing it all and being able to be the Phoenix. I just want another chance at bat. That's what I care about. I'm not really a person that measures the hits or the strikes or the home runs.
Yeah.
I just want another chance at bat. I just want to I want to be in front of creativity again. So that's my proudest accomplishment is in a certain way longing for that. In the middle of the battle is one thing. In defeat is something totally different.
Yeah.
When you fail, you just want to close it all up. Your heart, your everything. And my proudest accomplishment is the gift of either wanting or having another opportunity to express myself, to create something that wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know what? My proudest accomplishment is to be able to fail again.
Wow, I love that. And yeah, congratulations on everything you've accomplished so far, and just your whole journey so far. I look forward to just continuing to watch you succeed and grow and explore those successes and next areas of opportunity. And before we sign off here, where can people find you in Heart, Soul, Heat? Of course, please shout out anything you'd like to shout out.
Yes, our big channel is Instagram. I love Instagram. So yeah, Heart, Soul, Heat on Instagram. Heartsoulheat.com is our website. Amazon. I think like Amazon.com/Heart, Soul, Heat. But yeah, those are our channels, and my DMs are open. I'm always interested in talking to entrepreneurs or people who are interested in starting and doing new things.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Raoul, again for coming on Virtual Coffee and sharing your knowledge, perspectives, your journey. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to share it.